I completely credit that misconception to Instagram about yoga being these ridiculously crazy postures. Through my pregnancy, I ran 4 studios where I was actively teaching close to 5 to 6 classes a day.
Namaste everyone, welcome to the show What's Your Favorite Position, where we breathe, twist and bend into our favorite yoga positions and philosophical musings. I'm your host Swati Kane, and joining us today is Divya Rola, a senior trainer from CultFit.
Namaste everyone, super happy to be here.
After completing her MBA, Divya embraced her lifelong love of dance training and performing all over the world for almost 5 years with the Padmini Chetur Dance Company. The passion for movement led Divya to pursue various modalities working with the physical and the mental body. Yoga, which initially began as something that complemented her devotion to dance, soon took over Divya's life. She decided to further her understanding of yoga by completing the 200-hour Yoga Teachers Training course from Shivananda Ashram in Madurai, the 300-hour Yoga Advanced Teachers Training course Shivananda Ashram in Kerala, the 300-hour Advanced Teachers Training course in Vinyasa Krama Yoga Vahini in Chennai, the 1-month Mysore Ashtanga Yoga Intensive with Saraswati Joyce, the pre and postnatal yoga certification, the Stott Pilates Mat Level 1 certification. She's now working with CureFit and heads the Cult Academy vertical, which takes care of the training and development needs for all the trainers of the organization. Welcome to the show, Divya.
Really happy to be here, Swati.
So it's a pretty interesting story from being a dancer to becoming a yoga teacher. How difficult or how easy was it?
I think I want to say that I've been very privileged and lucky because the journey in fact started even before I was a dancer. I was all set to enter the corporate world. I did an MBA. I in fact started working also in Bangalore with the Manipal group. And I think very quickly within a couple of months I realized that this is not what I want to do because my sense of purpose sort of lied in doing things that I love. And I really hadn't given dance or yoga much thought. It was just something I always did because I enjoyed it. And while I was being and training as a dancer, yoga was an integral part of our training, yoga and Pilates. And I realized something that not only did I enjoy performing it and practicing it, but I had a deep love for teaching it. So I also started teaching dance and yoga on this side just to earn a little more money to survive as a dancer. And I think by the end of those 4-5 years, I was pretty clear that I wanted to explore yoga, study yoga. And that's it. I did my first teacher's training course in Madurai in the Shivananda school. And I had zero doubts after that this is my life's mission and purpose, and I want to work with people in just exploring how to just lead a healthier life.
Yes.
So that's it. After that, I've just been trying to educate myself as much as possible.
Yes.
And sort of still a student.
It's the similarity between being a yoga teacher and a dancer is your knowledge for the moment, you know. And then you said you met Mukesh Bansal, who is the founder of CultFit.
Yeah. So that also, I think after I've spent a considerable amount of time teaching yoga, I used to run my own studios in Chennai and then in Gurgaon. I lived in Gurgaon also for 3 years. And I happened to move to Bangalore, and by which time I think Cult was 1 year into its existence and I could already see a lot of CultFit everywhere. And a meeting with Mr. Mukesh, then suddenly there was a lot of synergy because I absolutely loved what Cult was trying to do, which is make fitness easy for everyone, make fitness accessible for everyone. And this is really my sense and my purpose also. It's what I want to do, create an impact in people's lives through their body, through their mind. And I think one conversation then suddenly led me to join Cult. And when I first joined Cult, it was to take care of yoga as a format and sort of bring yoga, develop the format within the company, develop the classes, train the teachers, etc. And I did that for a while, for almost 3.5 years of my journey. And over the last 2 years, I transitioned into, we have a fantastic training academy at Cult, where any teacher who comes into Cult, we have about 600 odd teachers now, and anyone who comes into Cult, be it yoga, dance, boxing, strength, go through a very intensive training before they hit the floor. And not just before they hit the floor, but through their life cycle as a trainer, we continuously bring experts from the field to keep training them, keeping them inspired. So I take care of the training academy. We are a team of 16 members. We're all based out of Bangalore. We have a training institute there. So I work with the training institute now.
I'm sure it's a very exciting task for a yoga teacher to be heading a training department, right?
I love it. I think I'm a teacher at heart, teacher for life.
Yes.
We are such talented people in the team for strength, dancing, boxing, yoga. And I feel it's a privilege, honestly, to be working with so much talent.
Okay.
I'm learning every day. So Cult allows me to truly be a student in the field of fitness.
But tell me, Divya, do you enjoy training a teacher more or training a client who has zero knowledge of yoga? Which is easier, which is more interesting? Which is more exciting?
I think an empty bowl is easier, I'll say, only because when someone comes with no preconceived notions of what a practice should be, should not be, or they don't have to unlearn anything. Maybe it's easier, but honestly, teaching is teaching. I love teaching whoever the audience is.
Because a lot of yoga teachers take pride in training teachers, you know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I honestly, my forte is beginners, because I genuinely feel like there's a lot of misconception about yoga. I completely credit that misconception to Instagram about yoga being these ridiculously crazy postures, and yoga is only for stretching. There is no strength in yoga. Yoga is boring. Yoga is slow. Yoga is breathing, meditation. I mean, there's so much of misconception. I feel like when you work with beginners or people who are new to the practice of yoga as a lifestyle, you have the unique opportunity to sort of spark an idea of yoga, where yoga is wonderful. Yoga can be engaging, fun. Yoga is not just about stretching, it's about strength. And yoga truly is about a lifestyle and not just what you do on your mat.
Yes.
So if I could be that agent of change, I think it's nice. So I really enjoy working with beginners.
Let's talk about the practice of the day. What are we going to practice today, Divya?
I think I'm a big fan of twisting postures because of just the amount of goodness it brings for your body. So I was thinking maybe Ardha Matsyendrasana, like a half spinal seated twist.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah. So, you know, when I teach my classes, I always like giving little stories as to where this posture, what is this name. So Ardha is half.
Yes.
Matsya is fish. Matsyendra is a name, and I will come to what that name is. And asana is pose, Ardha Matsyendra asana. So it is said popularly that you know, yoga originated from Shiva, right? And apparently there's a story that Shiva was sitting with Parvati by the banks of a river, and he was explaining the secrets of yoga to Parvati. And there was a little fish listening very intently to everything Shiva was saying to Parvati, and the fish was also absorbing the knowledge of yoga while Shiva was saying it. And towards the end of the conversation, Shiva realized that not just Parvati, but the little fish was also there, and the fish also listened to everything he had to say. So he blessed the fish and he told the fish that I'm going to call you Matsyendra, which is the king of all fishes. And later the fish came in a human form and sat in a seated, twisted posture and meditated on the knowledge that he gained from Shiva.
Okay.
And he was the first human to propagate the truths about yoga. And yeah, he was spoken about even in the Hatha Yoga Pradipika
Yes.
and all.
Yes.
So-
That's where I learned about the stories from Hatha Yoga Pradipika.
Yeah. And this is one of the few postures that is also described in that book. So shall we get into it? And
Yes.
while we're doing it, I'll also explain why I love it and what it does for the body and the mind.
Okay.
So I always like starting off in a Vajrasana position for this, because it just allows you to go into the posture with more ease. And at least this is how I was taught in the Shivananda style, so that's why I continue doing it like this. So get started in Vajrasana, sit up tall, and from here support yourself and drop your hips to the right side. Yeah, and then bring your left leg over and across like this. Perfect. And now move your right foot out a little so that your left buttock drops down firmly onto the ground. Awesome. Now get yourself comfortable. Now sit up nice and tall. Take your left hand directly behind you onto your fingertips. So you push into your fingertips and lift yourself up. Now wrap your right hand across the left leg, and on the inhale lengthen the spine, and on the exhale twist and look over the left shoulder. Take a couple of breaths here and inhale in position, and once again as you exhale, release and come back to the center. So the reason I also really love this posture is because one, the physical benefits. So it's a spinal twist. So all along the spine you have something called the erector spinae muscles, and these muscles are then twisted and released, and it brings a lot of mobility to the spine. So that's one. Two, if you notice while you were doing it, it's a really nice stretch for the neck, for the shoulders, and even for your glute muscle if you actually drop your hips down. But the most important thing of most twisting postures, it also massages the internal organs. So for example, when you're doing Ardha Matsyendrasana, your lower abdomen gets really massaged. So your kidneys, your liver, so it gets squeezed, and as it gets released, a lot of blood rushes into the organs. So it's fabulous for the functioning of
The internal organs.
And it's also a great asana to increase your digestive fire and improve your digestion. So can you do it on the other side now?
Yes.
Awesome.
Let's repeat.
So we come back now to Vajrasana. Yeah. Now drop your hips to the left side and slowly slide the right leg over and across. Now take your right hand, this time directly behind you, fingertips on, just so you can push into it and lengthen the spine. Now stretch the left hand this time all the way up, lengthening the spine. And this time, let's lodge our elbow across like this. Look straight ahead, inhale, think of taking a long deep breath. As you exhale, suck your navel in. Really think of compressing your abdomen, and then twist and look over the right shoulder. Stay here, take a couple of breaths. With every inhalation, think of lengthening from the base of the spine. With every exhalation, gently ease into the twist. You're not pushing anything, you're using your breath to ease into the twist. And as you exhale, release and come back to the center. Cross your legs and relax. How did that feel?
Good. I think it's the resistance,
It's the push and pull.
The push and pull between the elbow and the knee that makes the difference.
Exactly. Perfect. So, yeah, so yoga is all about opposites and continuously balancing the opposites. So there is strength and flexibility continuously working together, and that's what I think creates balance in the posture.
I don't know if you know about this, but I lived in Spain for 6 years working as a yoga teacher. So I used to hop from one yoga studio to another just to give yoga classes. And this used to cover my entire day. This was a beautiful experience where I, got the experience of a yoga studio culture in a city. So where I'm going from this is that, because you're a senior trainer of Cult, which provides multi-fitness classes. We're talking about Zumba, we're talking about CrossFit. How does yoga stand out from all of this?
So I think what Cult does is it offers something for everyone, and it also covers fitness very holistically, because I feel like to truly be comfortable in one's body and for the body to function optimally, you require the body to have great mobility and flexibility. You require the body to have strength. So we have strength and conditioning classes, HRX, Burn, which all are strength formats. We have yoga for, just on a very physical level. We have yoga for mobility, flexibility, breath practices, etc. Purely again on a physical, because I hate putting yoga in a box. And then we have dance fitness, which is really one of our really popular formats, which is all about self-expression and letting yourself go, rhythm, energy.
So this is what I'm trying to say, or maybe ask that, with all these exciting options,
where does yoga fit? I think
you think people are getting out of their house, out of their comfort zone to go to a studio and practice yoga in a group. Are people getting out of the comfort zone?
Very different doing it in a group versus doing it yourself, because the group sort of provides energy and there's a sense of I think feeling of community when you do it with a group. So I think very few people are extremely self-motivated, and motivation is a wrong word. Actually, I say self-disciplined to be able to practice and do the things that are good for them to do by themselves at home. So I've always found, even for myself, I in fact go to a class to practice. I've always found that going and committing to a certain time, a teacher, community keeps you on the path, because motivation
you have that Guru Shishya Parampara.
I agree, and honestly, everyone needs a teacher.
Yes.
Someone who can look beyond your. I think we all have sort of blind spots for our own practice, for our own habits, and it's really nice to have a teacher to help you in that journey.
Yes, and also you get a reality check when you're practicing in a group, right?
Of course, both ways, and the group also lifts you up, and I think people are more regular when
it's community. You're a part of a community when you're practicing in a group, and that's why I'm always trying to promote and encourage practicing yoga in a group. And that's why I want to bring about a yoga studio culture in Delhi, and of course nationwide.
Right, and I think that's happening now in India. I've seen, apart from Cult also, Cult obviously we have almost 600 odd plus studios across the country, but apart from Cult also, there are other lovely studios coming up across in all the big cities.
Yes.
In fact, every time I travel, I make sure that I pick out a couple of studios that I really enjoy in every city, and I go and I practice there.
How nice.
So, yeah.
Also, from one mother to another, postpartum is a bitch. Let's just say that. But when I was going through my postpartum days, it was really difficult, because so much changes happening around you, whether it comes to your body, your hormones, your lifestyle, your emotions. But I think one thing that remained constant was, my awareness that these changes are happening, and it was only possible because I've always been a yoga practitioner. So that awareness came from my education of yoga. I know I make it sound like a wall basically, and I know how difficult it is. You know how
Yeah.
difficult it is. That was the time I also felt really bad for the mothers who had no idea about, yoga, and they have, and they have no clue like what to do exactly when you're going through this phase. How was your journey like when, during your postpartum phase? And when I'm going with this is, how do you place the importance of yoga here during pre and postnatal?
So I think, again, I say that I was also very privileged and lucky in the sense that yoga has been with me, not just yoga, all modalities of fitness, whether it was strength training, yoga, Pilates, etc. It's been something I've been exploring since I was 22, 23, very actively. And I had my baby when I was 34. So I had, I think, that 10 years of deep knowledge and practice with me, which held me, I think, in really good faith throughout. So in fact, through my pregnancy, I ran 4 studios where I was actively teaching close to 5 to 6 classes a day. In fact, throughout, till 1 week before I delivered, I was the primary teacher in all my classes. So my students saw my entire journey. These were classes in Chennai. And my students, in fact, saw my entire journey from when I announced my pregnancy in class to all of them, to me being solidly like 40 weeks pregnant and teaching a class. So I feel like my pregnancy journey felt almost effortless and joyful, because I felt really comfortable and fit in my body. Yes, I was uncomfortable, I never got enough sleep and all of that.
Yeah.
But it made the journey easier for sure. And so I really enjoyed my pregnancy, and I
But
think,
pregnancy is a cakewalk.
yeah, compared to what comes after.
Yes.
So I think post delivery also, and I in fact had a very long, in spite of everything, this is what I also say, that you just need to do all the work, and after that just leave the rest to the universe, because in spite of everything that I did, I didn't have a vaginal birth, I had a cesarean.
Same here.
So
my doctors were convinced, and they convinced me that I will obviously have a natural delivery, a natural delivery. But and then it was just last minute that it was decided that it has to be a cesarean.
So I think that was very humbling for me, because of course I'm going to have a vaginal birth, and I had an entire birthing plan and everything. I didn't realize how traumatic it would be for me personally and mentally to not have that plan put into action. But obviously for me, I didn't want to take any risk with my life or risk my daughter. So the minute we felt like it was time for a C-section, we went in for that. But I think mentally, more than the physical scar, mentally healing from the disappointment of not having the kind of birth I really aspired for both my daughter and I. Took time, and the C-section took almost 2 months for me to start feeling myself, start being able to move the way I used to move.
2 months, for me it was 3 months.
3 months.
At least 3 months for me to heal.
Yeah, when I say 2 months to start moving, I don't mean exercising like a crazy person. To start feeling confident in my body, where I was not scared to suddenly sit up or cough or so. I'll say the first 6-7 months was very hard because you're sleep deprived, hard because your body's been through so much. But the practice helped, because by the time I was 2-3 months in, I started my simple practice. I started walking, my breathing practice. I started doing simple core work just to close the separation, and all of that knowledge kicked back in. And really, by the end of 6 months, I felt like I had my I felt like myself again, with my same energy levels. And all of that practice I did before was what helped me during those 6 months, which is tough for all mothers, and for many mothers, they don't have the privileges which I had. So that's why I always say that every mother's journey is
different,
very unique. And if you have the option of being very physically active, pre and post,
Mhm.
please jump at it because it will serve you more physically, mentally, it will help you.
Okay, so Divya, here we are in the last segment of the show where I have to ask you, what is your favorite position?
What is my favorite position? Okay, so I'm a hugger. So if I have to do something to express my love, I always hug people and long, big hugs. So I think hugging people I love is my favorite position.
Cute. I like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I mean, I felt like I've known you before, like
I know this is the first time we're really
it
meeting.
wasn't like a first meeting. And we had a nice chat, a nice long chat, from one yoga teacher to another. And really, thank you for giving us your precious time and inspiring all of us with your thoughts and your wisdom.
I think wisdom and all is stretching it, but I'm really happy to be here. I'm always happy to share, and I think it's only when you share and work with each other that everyone has something to learn from the other person. So, love your show and good luck. I'm waiting
you.
to see all the other fabulous teachers you're going to showcase on the show. So, yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Until next time, stay centered, stay mindful. Namaste.
Namaste.